Okay, here we are again here at the university, October the 10th, 2020, in another series of classes on the system of racism, white supremacy. And our topic today will be the 5 stages of that system. 5 stages of the system of racism, white supremacy. So we want to start off, as we always do, paying the ultimate respect to those who first defined racism as a system. Their names never get called on TV, radio, and etc. Fact of the matter is, most people act like they never existed. And the one who first wrote or began to lecture and put pen to paper about racism and classified it as a system was Mr. Neely Fuller. Now you hear people now saying, yeah, racism is systematic. You hear them all over the place, MSNBC, Fox, people know, Congress and Senate and CNN and all over the universities. But it was Mr. Neely Fuller who wrote Racism is a System. He wrote it in 1953. Now, some people may say, why do you always say that? Because it is important that we identify that it was someone among us who achieved this. Before Mr. Neely said racism was a system, nobody said it. Now they're saying it all over the place. Of course, they don't give him any credit for it whatsoever. And we don't give him any credit for it because we don't know it. And then Dr. Francis Cress Welsing came along and added to Mr. Neely Fuller's definition. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, she added that it was, she came from the science point of view. Along with Mr. Neely Fuller's definition, she added the word genetics. And then Imam Muhammad, well, even before that, Imam Muhammad was talking about racism, white supremacy. He wasn't using that type of language. But he said that it was something that we could figure out with just by using our own intelligence. So those 3 people that I just named, Mr. Neely Fuller, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, who was a medical doctor, a psychiatrist for over 40 years. She studied the system for over 40 years. Nobody mentions her. And Imam W.D. Muhammad. Most Black people don't even know he walked the planet. We just don't know. Because that type of knowledge was kept from most Black people. Only the people in those circles actually know. So we're going to give the definition. Now, we learned the definition, we here at the university, Osby Mitchell is on here now. And let me say this, his father told us every morning, his father was a principal at the world famous Jack Yates High School. Yeah, he should be the principal there, he being Osby Mitchell Jr. But anyway, his father told us every morning on the loudspeaker, remember, we are number one. He said that every morning. And every morning, that made me feel proud. Every morning, he made the announcements and then he said that. But nevertheless, we develop our definition from Mr. Neely Fuller's and Dr. Francis Criswell's definition, we being the students here at the university. And without any further delay, we're going to give the definition, and you should learn the definition and be able you will be able to know what racism, white supremacy is in depth, in depth. Because you run into people, I run into people all the time. And some of them get offended when I say Black people do not know what racism, white supremacy is. And they'll go off on some tangent to, yeah, we know what it is, we know what that, we know what, and they do not. They absolutely do not. Or I should say, we as a group do not. We don't have, Black people don't walk around with a definition of racism, white supremacy in their head. They don't even know that they should have the definition in their head. Don't even know it. But here is the definition given by the university, the students here. Racism, white supremacy is a worldwide system. Excuse me, I got sidetracked. Racism, white supremacy is a worldwide system for the genetic survival of those people that are classified, that classify themselves as white. It has patterns of control, speech, thought, systems formation, action, language, and emotional response. It operates in 10 areas of human activity: education, entertainment, economics, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, and health, for the ultimate goal of the survival of the genetic material of those people that are classified as white. That is what racism is. And that was a short paragraph that I know we all could learn. That's what it is. And when we say genetics, we're talking about the thing that make your eyes brown, the chemicals that make your skin dark, make you have color or no color. And white people found that out. They didn't have the word genetics in 1492 when they circumnavigated the globe. But they had this. When they got off those boats and came in contact with nice, kind, civilized people, unlike the people who they just came from, the Europeans. And this is no attack, this is no put down, this is fact. This is, you can read in the Columbus Journal. This is a fact. Columbus said that the people that he came in contact with was some of the kindest people he ever met in his life, or the kindest people he ever met in his life. This is in Columbus's journal. And that's why we also said reading is more important than watching TV. Read. But nevertheless, when Columbus and those that followed him, after he circumnavigated the globe, see, he woke the Europeans up when he first circumnavigated the globe in 1492. And when they came, we're talking about genetics, and when they came in contact with people of color, and they got off those ships, and the people were kind and nice to them, bringing them gifts and also bringing them women. And if one of those women or more than one or whatever was impregnated, and if Columbus and his crew and other Europeans that circumnavigated the globe stayed around 9 months later, they saw genetics come into play. What are you talking about, Ali? When they impregnated those women, they saw that 9 months later, the babies did not look like them. The babies were not white. That's because you have a recessive and you have a dominant gene. The darker you are, the dominant your genes are. The lighter you are, the more recessive your genes are. That is not me talking. I'm not smart enough to come up with that. Just get any book on genetics. And that don't make the lighter gene bad, a devil or something. That don't make them bad, and that don't make the darker gene an angel. No, it's just genetics. So it was a blessing to come in contact, but we came in contact with people like this before. But it was a blessing to come in contact with Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, because he is the perfect example of genetics. He is a perfect example. His parents were a perfect example why white people came up with racism, white supremacy, because they don't want to disappear. In other words, they don't want darker genes mating with lighter genes, because if they do, they could disappear. They won't disappear as a being. For example, President Barack Obama, he's still here from his mother and father coming in sexual contact with each other. Something from his father went into something from his mother. If we can understand it, then that's the lowest we can say. Something from his father went into a place in his mother. His father was dark. He has dominant genes. He was dark. His mother was light. Neither one of those were bad people. But 9 months later, here comes Barack Obama. Now you look at a picture of him. Where is the white? His mother was white. Where is the visible non-color skin? It has disappeared because of the dominant gene in his father and the recessive gene in his mother. Now, after the president came in contact with Michelle Obama, they produced children. Look at their children. Why don't they look like their grandmother on the president's side? Why? Why aren't they light or void of color like their grandmother? Because of genetics. Now you understand genetics. Now you understand racism, white supremacy. Because white people do not want to disappear. In other words, they don't want their children to benefit from this society, from the upper hand in this society. because they have special benefits in this society. We don't call, we can say white privilege, like people may say, oh, this is just white privilege. No, this is racism, white supremacy. It is a complete system. White privilege is inside of that. But this is racism, white supremacy. But they don't want their kids to be denied privilege from the system of racism, white supremacy. They don't want to disappear. So they came up with this system. Now that leads us to this. This system moves in 5 stages. That's the title. The stages of racism, the 5 stages of racism, white supremacy. And we do not know these stages. We have to know them to understand racism, white supremacy in depth. But here are the stages. Establishment, maintenance, expansion, refinement. Now, those first four was given by Mr. Neely Fuller. He wrote about the stages in 1954. 1954. Establishment, to establish, to perform maintenance, to work on it when it's broke, or if something is not ran right, they will perform maintenance on it. Expansion, racism, white supremacy is a worldwide system. And refinement, that's 4. I mentioned 5. We here at the university some time ago came up with the 5th. Brute force, violence, force of language. So you can just say brute force. That includes violence and violence in language. Now, that's the stage you're in now. When you see Black people being shot down in the street in broad daylight and on video, on video, you in the 5th stage. Now, the system does not like being in the 5th stage because the system does not want to be discussed. It likes to be in the stage of refinement, where it can make you think. Now, remember, we are in the 5th stage. The 5th stage is brute force. Here's some examples. And we talking about brute force of physical violence and language. But we just say the 5th stage is called brute force. And I didn't come up with that. The students at the university, students and the professors at the university came up with it. So when you have Black people being slaughtered in the streets, like we're being slaughtered now, as far as we know, the last brother that was slaughtered, and I'm sure there's been another one since then, I think it was a week ago or this past week, was breaking up a fight. And a policeman arrived. Within 6 seconds, the brother was dead. And within 6 seconds. You see, in other words, it should be this screen. I'm looking at YouTube, and as people and Facebook, and as people come on, and you can see their name: Lester, cousin Felicia, brother Rasul, and brother Mitchell, Oscar Mitchell Jr. This man, it should be about 50,000 people on here. Yeah, because we are being slaughtered, and we don't even understand it. We keep asking questions. Why they keep out listening to the radio? I think that was the week before last. What can we do to make them know that we don't? They shouldn't treat us like that. It was some statement like this, like that. Or why are they doing it? Every time we say why, we give strength to the system. Every time we ignore and refuse to discuss and figure out and add to the countermeasures to the system, we give strength to the system. Every time we ignore and refuse to study and make countermeasures to the system, we give strength to that system. So the shoe dropped on the brother, Jonathan Price, I believe that's his name. The last brother that was on, they had publicized on TV being shot like that. First thing we do, we'll get together, we'll call in a celebrity activist, maybe from Houston, maybe from anywhere. And they call the police officer, well, we'll talk about that in a minute, a disguised police officer in the disguise of an officer, but he's really not. He's really not. He's really a race soldier. Race soldier. See, we got to get this down. We just can't say, yeah, we understand racism. No, we don't. Because all you have to do is ask us a couple of questions. But the students at the university does. So, nevertheless, when you get a person that's shooting black people like that in a disguise of a police officer, he's not an officer. This is what Mr. Neely Fuller says. And he's correct. It didn't come from me. He's correct. He has on a disguise of an office as an officer. He's a race soldier looking to kill you, the ones that pull triggers like that. Within 6 seconds, he shot Jonathan Price. I think his name is Jonathan Price. He shot him. It's not an officer, because police officers, by definition, are to protect and serve. He's a racist white supremacist supporter and a soldier. That's what he is. So after he performed what he performed, we'll get together, like I said, and call celebrities in from all over the country, and they'll take the mic and call the race soldier a whole bunch of horrible names, and then somebody will holler out from the crowd, no justice, no peace, and then rally is adjourned. Rally is over. We'll go back home, maybe beat the hell out of our wife, overeat, get some liquor, chase women, chasing men, all kinds of stuff. And then we'll sit back, hope the race soldier don't come knock on our door. And then if he go knock on our neighbor door, we'll get together again and repeat the process all over again. We are moving in a circle instead of a straight line. We're moving in a circle instead of a straight line. Then you got these group of people saying no justice, no peace. And we are saying that because we do not understand the system of racism, white supremacy. You cannot get justice in a system of racism, white supremacy. They're diametrically opposed to each other. If you have one, you don't have the other. If you're on a football field, you cannot simultaneously at the same time be a defensive player, a running back, offensive running back, and a defensive back at the same time. One has to lead the field, and the other one will take the field. Because I know we into sports. Yeah, I know that. You can't be a pitcher and a designated hitter at the same time. So we should be able to understand that. You can't be a defensive forward and be the point guard dribbling the ball down the court at the same time. So one has to replace the other. See, when we say no justice, no peace, and we don't even know that only tells me this, that tells me this. That not only that we do not know what racism, white supremacy is. If you asked us, well, what is justice? What is that? What does that look like? Since we ain't never had it, what does it look like? I hate to say, if there were 100 people in your room, wherever you are right now, 99 of them will not be able to tell you. Maybe 100 if you haven't tuned into the university. Probably 100. If 100 people go into a room, and when they enter the room, somebody had on the board, what is justice? They'll be looking in their phone trying to search Webster and see what he say, what is justice? Well, this is what Mr. Neely Fuller said. This is the definition of justice when you're in the system of racism, white supremacy. And that's the system you're in. Justice is where no one will be mistreated. Absolutely no one. White, black, whatever. And those who need the most help will get the most help. That's justice. That's the system that we're trying to make in play. But until that, then you're going to study seeing black people being slaughtered. When I say black people, I mean literally black people. I'm not saying black men. They are the most targeted, but they are the most targeted for obvious reasons. But I'm talking about black men. We can't protect them. Black women cannot protect you. And black children are being slaughtered right here in this country. And it will continue until black people replace the system of justice, or replace the system of racism, white supremacy with the system of justice. We're still talking about the fifth stage, brute force. Now, I just gave you out a name when a brother was slaughtered. But we can go to Emmett Till. He was slaughtered. Did he receive justice? Did we receive justice for the slaughtering of Emmett Till? His blessed mother, may God bless her with a high state in paradise, was fighting for justice for him up until she had us. Well, I don't know how, up until she died. Yeah, up until she died. Trayvon Martin. See, it's a list of Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, but this is us. Since we do not understand the system of racism, white supremacy, we see those events under the lens of individuals. We do not see that event as being connected to every other individual and other areas of human activity. We are still in the fifth stage. See, we don't see that as connected to school closures. Rasul was on here. He's from Port Arthur. He remember Beaumont Charleston Parlor. They ain't open now. They ain't open now. And countless of other schools across the country. We don't see that as being racism, white supremacy, but it is. We don't see gentrification as being racism, white supremacy, but it is, because we have been taught to look at things in the singular as opposed to a complete whole. So you get the president of the United States. Don't even comment on black people. Don't even comment on black people being slaughtered. Hold on for a second. Don't even comment on black people being slaughtered. Then he won't even mention it. They asked him about, now, several times, and we're going to say it today, racism, white supremacy is the most deadliest system, the most terroristic system in the world. The FBI director just said it the other day. The biggest terroristic system in America is racism, white supremacy. And we missed it. But Mr. Neely Fuller and Dr. Francis Cress Wells have been saying that since the 50s and 60s. Yeah. And the FBI director just said it the other day. Here it is, 2020. And that just went right over our head. We get on the radio and won't even mention it. We get on well, we don't have TV programs in terms of discussion. We don't own any TV stations. But we get on those social media and talk about everything other than racism, white supremacy. And it is the most deadliest terroristic group in the country, the world. But if we're talking about the United States, it ain't Black Lives Matter. But we'll talk about them. All lives matter. I hear black people saying that. Yeah, I don't get off into that. Sometimes they be trying to play up to the host of whatever program they on. All lives matter. Well, that ain't what it's so I don't go with that Black Lives Matter stuff. Well, that ain't what the director of the FBI said, and he has information on everybody that he wants information on. Me, you too. He said white supremacist groups are the most deadliest terroristic group in the country. Why we are not acting like our heads on fire, I don't know. We acting like, hey, so what, man? Pass the beer. That is insane. So a terrorist group tries to kidnap the governor of Michigan because she spoke out against racism, white supremacy. Now, if one of the groups try to kidnap a governor, what do you think they'll do to you? Do you think it would be actually difficult for them to kidnap you? No. We should not be talking about nothing else but this, what we are faced with, because that is our biggest challenge. And I believe it is a challenge that God wants us to defeat. He wants us to defeat it. He don't want us to just be sitting back like ain't nothing happening and pass the weed square. I mean, you know how we do, man. You know, Megan Stallion boyfriend shot her, and oh man, come on, you know how we do. This is the fifth stage, and like I said, you then after that attempted kidnapping, and it was real by a white supremacist group. Uh, the president of the United States turns around and called a black woman a monster. Well, that's code language. That's code language. See, it's all right to kill a monster. If she a monster and she look like you, guess who else a damn monster? Now, this is from the most powerful seat in the world. He called a senator, Senator Harris, Kamala Harris, a monster because he couldn't call her a nigger. Well, he could, but he didn't. He called her a monster. Now, who can't kill a monster? Who can't kill King Kong or damn Freddy Krueger? She's a monster. This is what the most powerful seat in the world says. I didn't hear the NAACP come out. Fact of the matter is, I haven't heard any organization, anyone. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, we should be doing better because we are at the fifth stage. And the fifth stage of development for racism, white supremacy is brute force, force of language, and force in the physical. At any point, since we're at the fifth stage, white people just come shoot you right in the head and walk off like they've been doing, like they did Emmett Till, Sandra Bland, Tamir Rice. We are at the fifth stage. There is nothing more to discuss. Black people, we need to be quiet. If we are not talking to each other about racism, white supremacy, shut the hell up. Because you ain't talking about nothing. Shut the hell up. Because we are being slaughtered. And we still have Black people uh, pushing white people in front of our face. But what do you mean? You trying to say white people can't talk to us? No, I'm not saying. But we don't need to look at white people as our savior. I heard one on a radio the other day telling us he achieved some type of certificate to help Black people. What? What? Black people need to help Black people. That ain't saying, I'm not saying nothing about what white people can't help, but John Brown had his own people with him, his sons, people that looked like him. He tried to get with Frederick Douglass. They told him no. If you want to do that, go ahead. We wish you no ill will. But we'll bring white people on, let them lie to us, and as long as they say they're our friend, we're okay. I went to school to spend my money. I'm white. I went to school to spend my money to get a certificate, a high certificate to help Black people. What? No, I did all that. I mentioned that so you could look at me as your savior. Just like that picture on that used to be in every damn near every Black home, every Black church. It's the same concept. It's the same concept. If white people want to end, and they can play a part, if they want to end racism, white supremacy, they should go among white people. Don't even talk to Black people about racism, white supremacy. Because when they do, we have been so damaged that we'll look at them as a savior. Yeah, that's how we'll look at them, as a savior. And that is how we'll get stuck in the fifth stage. That's just how we will get stuck in the system of racism, white supremacy. We need to be quiet. When I say quiet, we don't need to be doing a whole bunch of dancing anymore. If you missed it, well, oh well. If you miss all the party or having parties, oh okay, well, you just missed it. Because we do not need to be doing that at this point. We need to be having family gatherings, talking about this system. We don't need, I don't talk about this stuff. And here it is, your nephew just got slaughtered last night by a white race soldier or a Black one. Because Black people can support the system of racism, white supremacy. We don't need to be calling the Attorney General. I forgot what state that guy is in. The same state that Breonna Taylor was slaughtered, and where she lives was slaughtered in. We don't need to be calling him no vicious names because he is a victim, just like you and me. Because he don't understand. His self-respect level has been totally annihilated. Totally. And when people, Kentucky, thank you, Junior. When people are attacking your self-respect level and annihilating it and painting a bad image of you, they are preparing to slaughter you. And we have evidence. Now, we're going to use these group of people as evidence because I know we're confused about ourselves. And in the 40s, when the Third Reich was in control in Germany. Before that, it used to be a democratic society. And when the Third Reich gained control, they 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 start slaughtering people, Semitic people of the Jewish religion. But now I got to define what a Semitic person is. We say they Creole. That's Semitic. Mostly every African American you know is Semitic, mixed race. Mostly all of them. And most of all of us are like fifth or sixth degree mixed race. President Barack Obama is Semitic. He's first degree mixed race. His mother was white. That's first degree mixed race. That's Semitic. That's what Semitic means. Now I know these people will use these terms and they try to use it over your head, and we don't never try to investigate it. We don't, oh, that's a Jewish term. That's for Jews. Now Semitic only means mixed race. So when Hitler felt like the Semitic people was taking over Germany, or the people felt like the Semitic people was taking over Germany, then came Hitler. Then came Donald Trump. See, it wasn't a Muslim ban. I'm doing a comparison if you don't understand. It wasn't a Muslim ban. It was a brown people ban, a shades of black people ban. His wife is from Yugoslavia. Half the population in Yugoslavia is Muslim, but they're white. He didn't stop nobody from Yugoslavia coming over here. It wasn't a Muslim ban. See, when the system feels like it had enough, then here comes brute force. So there rise Hitler, and he began to slaughter those Semitic people of the Jewish religion. But first, he painted them as being greedy, stingy, dirty, no good, wicked. You know, kind of like what the system has done to us. But the only difference between those Semitic people and us is those Semitic people learned and they made a pledge and a covenant with God that if you bring us out of this, we help us fight this situation to bring us out of it. This is what we done. We just started saying the same thing that the people that was painting the picture of us said about us. Here's an example. When they call black people no good niggas, eventually we start calling ourselves no good niggas. When they call our women bitches, so we turned around and called them bitches. We made whole rap music off of it, a whole industry. Now, when you do that, who cannot kill a hoe? A bitch, a motherfucker, a son of a bitch, a dirty ass thug, a slim ass nigga, a funky motherfucker. Who can't kill them? Because hey, Aaron, those are words that we call ourselves. Yeah, Ivan just came on. Excellent student. Always help. Yes. So those are words we call ourselves in the music. And we play the music right at our grandmama's house, at our mama's house, loud as it can go. Yeah, fuck that nigga. I throw my dice down. Shoot a motherfucker. We just painting ourselves in the image to be slaughtered. And we ain't making no connection because we are in the fifth stage. But there's other stages before that. But I don't want to belabor the point in time is getting short. Don't play it yet, Jack. So time is getting short. So we will address the other four stages on another date because I don't want to belabor you. But we remember this is the fifth stage. Let's shut the hell up if you are not talking about racism, white supremacy. Because we need to know. And the more we don't know, the more dangerous it is for us. Jewish people learned what Semitic, what killing Semitic people was all about. You don't see them killing no Jewish people down the street. They walked through the University of Virginia talking about trying to make I forgot what you call that, but they were sounding like you would not replace us. There's those racism groups. They were saying Jews will not replace us. They were saying that you have sex with our women and you're going to make them Semitic. The same thing they say about us. Okay, brothers and sisters, we thank you very much for coming. And those who arrived late, I know that you were probably busy. Keep up the good work. Review this tape, please. I say tape because I'm old-fashioned. It ain't no damn tape involved. Go to YouTube and please hit the share, like button. Share and like button because we have to get the message out. Facebook, do the same thing. But be sure to go to YouTube and do it, please. Keep up the good work. You know that you have to vote coming up. Early voting requests for mail-in ballots is it is on the 13th. And if you don't get a mailing ballot, then go down there in person if you can. We have to remove racism, white supremacy off of us. It is very important. And remember, if you're not talking about racism, white supremacy, shut the hell up. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters.